it's fine.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Can we just start with it at the very basic level?
So, I have gone through this journey as well. I think everybody, I don't know about you, but everybody in this room from your introduction is something that you've experienced before. And my assessment of this conversation stems from the point of understanding truly what are the roots of this particular concept that we call imposter syndrome. In fact, even just calling it imposter in the first place or a syndrome in the first place is a problem in my books.
In itself,
Why? Because the moment you call it a syndrome, it sounds like it's a disease, like it is something that needs to be taken care of in a very structured, medical way and all of those things. Yet at the end of the day, it's a feeling. It's a feeling of doubt. It's a feeling of not feeling like you can show up in the feet or the shoes that you're really growing into. It's a sense of feeling not sufficient enough to wear the shoes and the dresses that you're growing up into as far as your evolution of your soul is concerned. So when you really look at it at the basis of what that is, it's like feeling anxiety, it's like feeling joy, it's like feeling not enough, all of those things. But the moment you put it into a box, this is the identity that you're dealing with. At that point, it becomes a monster that feels too far from you, too far from achieving, too far from moving beyond. And now make it worse, you call it imposter. You know, when you say something as an imposter, you've already put it in a box that it's not real, it's pretentious, it's all of that and the other. Yes. The feeling itself might feel that way. You might feel like, you don't fit into this I don't fit into this room. I don't fit into conversing with people like this and that and the other. I don't fit into putting in my peppers for that role. But then there's also something else called audacity. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have the grace and the capacity to show up for yourself in ways that is needed, then that's where we need to have conversations from. So where does it stem from? Where does it come from? And I think that's something we want to discuss today, because I have danced in that space. But then there's beauty of having to dance in the space of understanding the things that is coming up, from a place of understanding yourself. And from a place of complete identity of who you are. Not having an identity of who you are and having an identity of who you are completely dismantles how you get to deal with the concept of imposter syndrome. Because when you're coming from a place of complete lack of an understanding of who you are, then you're operating from a deep place of fear, a deep place of rooted concepts of what you are or what you've been based on the masks, which is the conversation for today, that you've worn since you were a child. But then when you start to understand who you are, then you even shift the concept of what imposter syndrome is, because then at that particular point of view, it stops being something that minimizes who you are, and it starts to become a threshold of shifts. So you start to look at it like, okay, so the moment I'm feeling doubt about where I'm going somewhere. I'm moving into something. I'm opening into a new level of being, because the truth is, having that minimal experience of yourself is based on how you've been able to grow up. It's based on how you've been shaped. It's based on the stories you've been hearing. So that sound in your head that tells you, put your butt down. There's nowhere you're going. Let me tell you, did you see the way Cleophas knows this better than you? Did you see Winnie, the way she looked today? You do you even have a coin to buy the things that would make you look like that? Keep quiet. Grown-ups are talking. So when that voice is speaking, and it's speaking from a place of wounding, you tend to do this, and your shoulders go this way, and you start to become small. But when that voice comes and you have an understanding of self, you're like, you sit down, let me show you to me. Let me show you who I am. Or you think that is who I used to be. That is who I used to be.
Just be sitting and wondering, how do you realize that you actually have it? How do you recognize it? How do you see it? When do you see it? How can you do that? Chebet.
Okay, so I'm going to give an example of the time when I was shifting from the work that I used to do before, because I was in marketing and I was in tech companies. I used to work for Google right before I started doing the work I'm doing now. So in that particular period of time, imagine shifting from, working with systems and apps and products and things like that, and then shifting to start working with people. So a part of my brain goes, so, hi. Hi, hey, who the hell do you think you are to be changing people's lives? And we just keep quiet, keep easy. These are jobs for people who have gone to school for 15, 20 years to study medicine. They have doctorates, PhDs, and all of that. Akina Cleopas, you know, people who, who are you? And I remember the best thing, because I was in a really interesting phase of my life that allowed me to be able to sit and introspect, because even introspection has positive and negative ways of introspecting. The negative one is now that voice that is constantly screaming in your head. And then the positive one is when you're actually able to sit and assess what you're experiencing and see yourself through that particular space you're in. So my brain would go crazy, and the only thing I would be like, you know what? You're actually right. You're right, because who the hell do you think I am, Chebet? But this is also an opportunity for me to prove to myself who I am. And the best ways for me to do that was, first I go get certified, I go to school. Then I start to look for proofs of, did I manage to actually achieve the things that I say that I have capacity to do or not? So I go back into my own history, my mind, and I'm like, okay, so what are the chances that I've actually been able to do this in my past, so that I can have proof of, there's this that I've been able to do, and then there's also this that you're screaming in my head that I haven't. So I can start to minimize that voice by actually showing it the proof of the things that I've been able to achieve. But how do you know that you have it? Any single human being who's gone through life as, I'll give examples of people who probably be hit about this, and maybe Cleophas can also fine tune on this, is people coming from minority groups, people coming, in fact, when they started studying Imposter Syndrome as a word, they started studying it through women, high achieving women, for example. And if you look at the way this world we've lived in, women have been minimized in the way we show up in our world for so long, and it's because of the way the systems operate. It's not it's a problem because men do this and that and that. It's just the way the system has been set up that has been minimizing the achievements of women through history for a very long time. So, coming from a firstborn, your firstborn coming from whatever family, single mother, or coming from a poor background, all of these things. So you have to break the glass surrounding that you're grown into bigger spaces, into bigger shoes. And when you start to shift from what you used to be, what you're used to allowing yourself to be, and you start to explore bigger shoes, bigger groups, bigger spaces, then at that particular point, your nervous system, the information that you're experiencing in the internal world and the results that you're seeing in the external world are not tallying. So your nervous system goes into, this does not feel safe, this does not feel like it's making sense to me, this does not feel like I am aligning with, there's something that is off here. So then the internal world that you're growing into and the proof of the world that you're seeing around you sort of kind of does not match yet. That's what I'm saying, is a threshold moment, a point of shift. So when you get into that phase, you start to realize, okay, there's a problem here, because for whatever reason, I don't feel safe enough. So it starts building things like anxiety, like you was mentioning earlier. So it starts to get into spaces where, like, okay, I don't know what is going on, something is off. Or your voice even I have a friend who, when she gets into spaces to speak or to show up in certain rooms, her voice shuts down. And it's all signs and symptoms of high functioning anxiety and things like that. And then now, the worst part about this is, when you push yourself in spaces where, like this, your body is saying no to things, but you're moving, you quickly run into spaces of burnout, you quickly run into spaces of depression, you quickly run into spaces of severe anxiety, because you're not really listening to what the body is saying, because the body is telling you there's something off about, I don't feel safe walking in this space that you're moving me into. But then the truth is, you're growing into an environment that you're not used to. All of us will feel uncomfortable. But let me ask you, how many times do you see a child who's going from crawling to walking, and then we are saying that child has imposter syndrome because they don't know how to walk?
No.
We never say that. But why do we put measures and boxes about how we experience life when you're growing from one box to the next, to the next? Are we meant to stay in one box forever, or are we meant to evolve beyond the boxes we are in? So when we start to put them into boxes, into certain spaces, and that's one of my pet peeves, to be honest, in life. All this boxes that you have about. I don't enjoy them because then it limits you into growing beyond what that box says that you should be. You could be your type A personality, type B, or whatever. So when you start to explore, or for example, you're somebody who keeps quiet. What is that word? Remind me.
Introvert.
Yeah, you're an introvert, and then now you're an extrovert, or you're an ambivert. So when you start to move beyond what it is that is your box, that is an understood or a believed sort of kind of concept of a box, when you start to get out of it, now your body starts to say, we don't know this. We are comfortable being small. We are comfortable not speaking. We are comfortable not sharing our truth. So at the end of the day, it's a complete fight between your truth and the truth that you've believed about what it is that you are, which is now the mask, which is how the stories. So there's the actual truth of what your soul wanted to express. And then there's the stories that the society has made you believe about what it feels like. And it comes from a lot of this upbringing that we see, that we experience, and even beyond upbringing. Maybe it's now you're growing, you're in a certain role, for example, and you're shifting so from being a manager to a director, and then you're still behaving like a manager and you're a director. So instead of walking into the director's shoes, you're there micromanaging people, you're there making sure people showed up in the office on time, yet you're meant to be building structures.
How do we come out of that box?
There are three things that I want us to look at when we're talking about this conversation. Okay, and as you know, my story by now will always go back to conversations about personal power. Okay. So the first one is sovereignty. The second one is your truth. And then the third one is a sense of belonging. When there's a mismatch between these three things, that's how you find yourself deciding, you know what, fine, let's just go. 22 to 22. Because now you're not honoring your truth, but because belonging is very important to you, then you'll do what? You will shut down who you are, you'll shut down your own truth so that you can be able to show up in that cycle of friends, in that spaces that you're being called to. The other one is now, for example, that fine, your sense of belonging is not impaired. You're around a group of peers who are constantly telling you, you're so good. Did you see how you did, like the guy who's spoken about putting together a concept and being very confident about what he built, but then when he's been asked to show up in front of people to present it, to talk about it, there's a problem. First, I used to have similar issues. And my ways, for whatever reason, I've been co-opted to boards or spaces where I had no business being in since I started working. So I'm presenting to a board of directors or whatever, and I have to speak. I'm telling you, I used to speak so fast, nobody used to hear what I'm saying. Because I'm so anxious, I want to finish speaking so quickly. I used to speak so fast. And that was just one of the signs that I was showing that I'm in a room that I have no business being in. Okay, so when we're discussing the concept of sovereignty, that's where you believe in your own power. You believe in who you are. Even if I almost said something you guys would have we can look at some people who hold serious offices across the world. I will not name names. And the things some of them say, you look at them and you're thinking, how did you even get into that office? You know, and it comes back to believing in yourself so crazy that it doesn't matter what the world will tell you or show you about who you think you are. But because you know so well, I am worth my salt, even if there's no salt you're worth. That building your sense of power, sense of self is important, because then you will create things, you'll work on systems, you'll build things. But when it comes to actually embodying the truth of what you've done, that sense disappears. That ability to show up in that power disappears. Because why? Your ability to see and honor and have agency of your own power is non-existent. And of course, when you start to go down to the roots of this, we'll go back to, as he was saying, a very simple example. Even the concept of birth itself is in itself a traumatic experience, you know. And as very simple, honest and gentle example you use, you're being breastfed and then your mother is looking at you telling you, "Kwa nini unaniangalia hivyo? Hata funga macho." You know, as a child, your ability to show up in your agency in that particular moment is being shut down, because that's how kids communicate. That looking at you, looking at your eyes so that they can see your eyes, the way it's moving, your mouth smiling, are we happy? But then no, at that particular point, imetufunga, just shut down. So what is happening to your sense of power? It's being completely disintegrated in that moment. When you look at the concept of truth, is about being able to share and speak your truth, your voice, using it to speak, share your story from a place of understanding, share your truth of what you're experiencing, and being bold enough to speak about these things without the fear of I will not belong, I will be, they will leave me, I will be abandoned, and all of those things. So when there's a mismatch between these three things, that's why we get to spaces where we would people please. We would go into perfectionism because we have to be perfect all the time for people to see me in my worth. So we've forgotten that in essence, my worth has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with how people assess me, because I am just who I am. Just by being human, you're worth being human, you're worth existing, you're worth living the same way an ant has all the worth in the world to exist and live just in itself, walking around, chilling in the kiginyos and hanging out. So, but then you want to squeeze it and kill it. That's the same thing we're being done to constantly by the pressures of the world, by the stories of the world, by the stories of our upbringing, by the community, and all of this continuously delete or take away our sense of sovereignty and our sense of power. So when we don't have an embodied sense of power, when we've given it out, I was engaging a really high-performing client the other day. And one of the things we were talking about is how she's traded her sense of, her concept of father to her boss. Okay? So her husband dies, who becomes her sense of strength? The boss. The boss. The father dies, the boss. And then now, because she didn't have a sense of masculine figure in her life very early, she's grown so well. Like, she's not like a small, no. She's like a high-level person in the company. So at the end of the day, when we were sitting and speaking, she has such issues, there's such issues between her and the boss constantly going on. And then she's not able to stand and fight and face the boss in her truth, because why? Her sense of power is with that person. And that is where the problem comes when it comes to all these concepts of imposter syndrome. I had another call with another lady a different day. And when we were speaking, she tells me, oh, when I speak, my parents don't listen to me, they don't hear what I'm saying, they pay more attention to my elder sister. But then the truth is, at the end of the day, when you really assess what that is, she's already submitted all of her power to who? Her parents, to such a point that when she's not performing in accordance to what the parents expect her to perform as, then she's not doing what? She's not showing up in the way her community expect her to show up as. So at that point, she feels as if she's small, she's not heard, she's not enough, and then the voice in her head will not be gentle at that particular point. She's like, oh, what did you see? And I told you, you're not like your sister. You keep on behaving like this, you know. And then when she wants to speak, what is done? She's overlooked. She's overlooked. She's overlooked. Do you think that situation is going to help her in any way build her inner voice to become stronger? No, it's going to keep on depleting and depleting. But if you look at it, at the end of the day, her power is externalized. Her sense of worth is externalized. Her self-worth is externalized. It's based on what the community will tell me who I am. That's how I will believe who I am. So, but to fix this, which is what the question is now, is understanding, where does my power sit?
How do we even know how much power we hold?
What are some of the tangible things, basic things that ukiwa nyumbani, you can start to do by yourself to be able to walk that journey, to be able to build your confidence, to negate all these thoughts probably that you've been thinking about as you grow up?
You asked, how do we even know our power? How do we even fix it, you know? So personal power is a balance between, before I even answer balance between, they say we are human what?
Beings.
Exactly. Human being. We are so doing, we are constantly human doing than we are ever human being. That's where the problem just starts. It's in the name. We're meant to be being. And because we don't know how to be, then we don't know how to sit with, embody the aspects of ourselves that are not performative. The culture we live in, supports, promotes, what are the other words? Just encourages doing. than there is being. And when you learn to sit in the beingness of things, that's when you start to actually recognize your effort. You start to recognize the work you're doing. You start to embody the things you're doing. You start to feel comfortable in your success. Because unless you allow yourself your circle of confidence or your window of tolerance, unless you allow yourself to widen that space where you can sit in the space of comfort, sit in the space of success, you'll always just be wanting to meet that next target, that next target. And it will become so impossible to actually recognize, you know what, I've actually done this much. I can say, congratulations, Chebet. This is good. I have a client, and I used to be this client. People write you, one day somebody wrote an email to tell her how good she had been to them. She started reading that email, she cried. She started reading it again, she cried. She took 2 or 3 weeks to even process
what was
sitting to receive that email. So what exactly is the challenge between our ability to do and be is because we don't have a balance between how we show up in our masculine and feminine power. So because we don't have this balance, we are constantly actively achieving, moving, doing things to try and prove to ourselves that you're worth being human.
And yet it should be the other way around.
It is. It should be the other way around. It's from the state of being that you should be able to do, and not from the state of doing that you should be able to be. Now, the goal here is to find a balance between these two aspects. So how do we find the balance between those two aspects? It starts, and I love the way he said that he listens and notices, where is the root of this person's issue? Is it childhood? Is it belief system? Is it the state of, there's something you said when you were starting earlier, that there's somebody who's so wise, but then their heart is closed. I don't see in my books how somebody can be wise and have a closed heart, because that's the other state. Unless your heart is open, the concept of wisdom is not embodied. That's intellectualized. It's an intellectualized understanding of concepts, but it's not an embodied understanding of things. So we are being asked at this point in time to come to a place where we can allow ourselves to both be and also do. Because if we don't do this, we'll never allow ourselves to feel into the spaces where there's doubt, there's gaps, there's issues. We'll always be running to find the next solution to fix it. And there's no answer there.
With that name being, we don't. We're doing. We're constantly showing up. We're still...
Agreed. And that's my invitation to everybody listening to me today. I need you to find a way to just be in your space. Work with your nervous system. That's the foundation of any work that looks like embodiment. It has to be somatic. It is with your body. Unless you do that, every story that you've ever experienced is encoded in every cell of your body. So you might achieve, because our brains are geared towards problem solving. So if you're in a space of aeronautic engineering, for example, and you need to figure out the calculation to enable this, the turbulence of this flight to sit, you will do that math very well, because that is how you survive. In that space is where you survive. But when you have to come speak about that survival, you shut down, because we don't have that capacity.
Wow. Where do we draw the line between arrogance and knowing self and knowing your abilities and knowing what you can do? Take, for instance, say someone says, "But you look so nice today." And then you say, "I know." Some people will be like, "They're very arrogant." No, I know I look good.
I think it's their problem.
You know? So then how do we balance that? But then also, again, just to contribute to how do we stay on course?
How do we stay on course? The first step is acceptance. Accept that you have a problem. Accept that there's a challenge. And there's this concept, I don't know how clear of us will feel about this, but there's this concept I strongly believe, that what you've learned, you cannot unlearn. I'll give examples. If you've ever been depressed, it doesn't go away. You learn to manage it very well. You learn to see the symptoms when they start to come up, and you realize that you're going downhill, and you pick yourself up. And you do that over and over and over until that sense disappears.
Okay.
It doesn't like completely go away, but it's somewhere in, but the voice of that feeling is not here. It is down there.
That's like a virus. It doesn't go away. It's just dormant.
That's the thing about our systems. What we learn with, not our systems, energy cannot be destroyed, and that is energy.
Okay.
If you see it from the scientific point of view, energy cannot be destroyed, but it can what? It can be transmuted, it can be shifted, it can be changed. Every emotion is energy in motion. So even this sense of imposter syndrome, it doesn't go away completely, it doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
But what happens is your voice of truth, your authentic voice becomes louder than the voice of perfectionism or that imposter voice.
Okay.
So at that point, as you build on self-talk, you start to get into spaces where your own authenticity speaks louder than your own fears. Then at that point, you have conquered whatever it is that was an inner monster that existed. But then this is also the other thing I want us to notice is this. This voice, as beautifully as Miriam said it, there's nothing underneath the sun that is bad. It was all created by God. So there's a serious purpose as to why we have that voice. And the moment we start accepting that voice, while it is not something I want to hear, there's a truth it is saying. It might not be the truth, but there's a truth. And that a truth means there's a root underneath that story that is very true, that if I look at that root, I will pay attention to where this voice is being so loud from and deal with it. I'll give you a very gentle example. You meet a madman in the street, akutukane. You respond to that person. How long will you guys be arguing?
Yeah, forever.
We'll be there.
Right? But if you meet that madman and they abuse you and you say thank you and you just look at them and be like, oh, okay, I hear you. How long will that person be mad at you or speaking to you?
No,
leave madman, your boss. Your boss screams at your face and you want to argue. How long will that argument last? But if your boss is screaming at your face and you look at them and you're like, you know what? I hear you. I understand. That will be done. How long will that conversation go? You've taken what? Your power back. And that's my invitation to everybody. Accept what your brain is telling you as stories. First be like, you know what? Sawa. Okay. I'm no nonsense. I am not enough. But where did this come from? When did I learn to believe this to be true? Be curious. That's the next thing, because being demands curiosity. Be curious. Ask yourself, when did I learn this as a truth? Because it's a truth. Your brain is repeating it to you over and over and over. There's something Miriam said about being in our limbic brain for so long that we forgot to be in our prefrontal. And actually the prefrontal we are the only animals, other than dolphins, which other ones have prefrontal, that actually have the capacity to actually think. And notice as we are thinking. That's the power of the prefrontal cortex. But that demands being present. But the concept of presence is something so foreign to so many of us that we don't know how to be present. So first, accept. And then secondly, once you've accepted, inquire, ask yourself, when did I learn to believe this to be true? It will send you back to the root of where that story is. The beautiful thing about our brain is this: the moment there's awareness, the structure is dismantled.
I see.
The structure is dismantled. So build awareness, understand, and then I'll put in structures and systems and measures. It could be coaching, it could be whatever that supports you in changing that belief. But the beauty is knowledge enough is sufficient to shift your state. So I'm a big believer in self-healing. Yes, I'm a coach, and there are therapists out there that you could see. But if you don't have that capacity and resources, I promise you, you can do this if you truly believe that you have the capacity to do it.
Chebet, thank you so much. This was a lovely day. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Learned a lot, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on Your World.
I am Mikali Mary. See you tomorrow.
Goodbye.